Is that going to be our future, that we'll just, be gawked at by super intelligences in zoos? Well, I mean, look, if you really had an infinite source of intelligence, there's a lot of things you might ask it. You might ask it, the solution to the P versus NP problem and, the Riemann hypothesis and so forth. But then maybe that would just be table stakes, right? Then you would ask it for, what is the true, unified theory of quantum gravity? Right, which is a different question from what you were asking, but I mean, are closed time-like curves physically possible in our universe? Was there anything before the Big Bang? Might be nice to know the answers to those things, right? And then you could ask it these philosophical questions of why is there anything at all? What is consciousness? So like how many questions do I get?
Well, you get them all. Oh, you get them all. But
all right.
This is this conversation around, can superintelligence answer that question? And if so, what does that?
Yeah.
Or do you expect that there's, say, an area within fundamental physics that even if we have vastly more intelligence, maybe not infinite, but that there is just a sort of a block there where it's time or experimentation or.
Yeah. So I want to make a distinction here. There are these profound unsolved problems in science, like P versus NP, quantum theory of gravity, explain the constants of the standard model, explain the origin of life, right? We at least have some idea of what sort of thing would count as a solution. For P versus NP, we clearly do, right? A solution is just a proof that at some point, you could just literally feed to a proof checker like Lean, and it would just output, yes, this is a valid proof. For the scientific questions, we don't know if there will ever be a satisfying answer to why did life first arise, right? Maybe it was just a freak accident and we just have to, eat that, right? And we're here because of the anthropic principle. But certainly it is possible that there is some empirical or theoretical discovery, that you can really confirm is true and that enormously illuminates that question, right? Likewise for, the origin of the Big Bang, let's say, or for, these other really profound questions in physics, the origin of the constants of the standard model. And then there are the philosophical questions, like explain consciousness, right? Where, there's even a question of what kind of answer do you want, right? Like, is there any answer, is there any illuminating answer that can even be put into words at all? If there were a superintelligence, would it be able to do any more with these questions than we could? And if it could, then could it explain the answer to us, in any way that would be useful to us? Certainly, if you had a superintelligence and it were cooperative, it were just, answering your questions, then, obviously these are some of the things you would want to ask it.
Okay, we're sitting here in 25 years. What excites you most about the future right now? Think about yourself back in Y2K, the point of Y2K. What were you excited about then versus what excites you about that sort of far out in the future now?
I was excited about progress in quantum computing, which there has been a lot of. I was, excited about, certain open problems in quantum computing theory, actually a fair number of which have been answered over the past 25 years. And of course, it was gratifying in a few cases for me, in many more cases from other people, to see some of my favorite problems solved. But I think, I was also pretty terrified about, where the world was going with climate change, with sort of the popularity of let's say, authoritarian worldviews. And now, I can add to my worries, the rise of AI, of superintelligence. I don't know that it's going to exterminate us. I don't know that there will be a paperclip apocalypse, but, I also don't know for sure that there wouldn't be. I mean, if you really take this seriously, then you say, the end point of this is that, we create some new form of intelligence that basically is to us as we are to baboons or to, termites or something, right? How well have baboons fared in the in the human-led world?
Maybe they're better off than we are. They're still just hanging
well,
out.
at least the ones that still exist are, right? But they pretty much exist in some a few jungles and a few zoos, because we care enough to let them, right? Is that going to be our future, that we'll just be gawked at by super intelligences in zoos? There's a whole range of possibilities, but I think the success of AI has injected even more variance, even more uncertainty into the next 25 years. You asked about excited. I mean, frankly, I'm pretty terrified about where things are going in the world. Like, even in the most conservative scenario, it's still going to be one of the most consequential technologies that humans have ever created, right? Up there with anything that humans have made, right? And then maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's like creating a new species that will become the dominant one on Earth. So I'm terrified about that. I'd be a little bit less terrified if I felt like there were people in charge, at least who are, have their finger on the pulse, are going to take actions that are well thought out in the broader interest of humanity. Suffice it to say, I don't think that we have that kind of leadership in the world right now, to put it extremely mildly.